Hi, and welcome to David Essel Alive, helping Americans and the world to heal. You're listening to the number one most positive podcast in the world right here on Buzzsprout.com. We've been a leader in podcast hosting, radio, TV hosting for 35 years. We continue to scale that giant Mount Everest in regards to podcast attention and downloads and all those things. And today I have a topic that is going to be very touching. It's going to be very deep, and it's going to challenge a lot of our belief systems. I want you to have compassion for yourself as you listen. If you go into high levels of judgment against what I say, that's okay. But just realize you're in high levels of judgment. If you go into high levels of acceptance with what I say, that's okay too. I'm not here to convince you to change your mind, your belief of anything else. I'm only here to give you my past experience, my current experience, and what I believe will be my future experience as well. There's many organizations, including religions, that will teach us that when someone attempts suicide, they are selfish, they are self-centered, they are arrogant. When someone is successful in their suicide attempt, they have no consideration, no empathy, no sympathy for the people they've left behind. For those people who have attempted suicide and not been successful, many times they come out ridiculed in society, weak, not man enough, not woman enough to handle life. And I'm going to present a thought about suicide that comes from a completely different perspective. I would like for us to open our hearts to those individuals that have suicidal ideation, those people that talk about suicide, those people that are planning suicide, those people that may be watching or listening right now that are thinking that it's time to end this existence. The pain is too great. And I want to ask you to have compassion. I want to ask you to have love. I want to ask you to redirect your mindset from judgment about how selfish they are and how self-centered they are and how arrogant they are to, wow, how much pain they are in, how much they are suffering, how they cannot even imagine there's a way out of this experience. I'm asking you to shift your mind to one of complete compassion and love and understanding of things that you and I may not know they're experiencing. In the past 43 years, I've worked with many families after the suicide of a family member. Most recently, an 82-year-old man who took his life. Right before that was a 15-year-old young teenager that took their life. And in between, it's every age you can imagine. If I look back at the old David Essel of 30 years ago, I would have been highly judgmental as well. And many religions teach us this. Many family history or family generations teach us this. And we're learning from the wrong sources. If you look and you think of God as love, God is loving every individual who has attempted suicide, who has been successful in suicide. I do not believe in hell and purgatory, so I don't believe God puts anyone anywhere other than heaven. Yes, even those who successfully take their own life. I believe there's only one God. I believe that one God is pure love, and I believe that he suffers as the person who is suffering and commits suicide, and he wants to love them. And if you're watching this right now and you've had thoughts of taking your life and you believe that there is something greater than you don't have to call it God. You can call it universal energy, light, spirit, oak tree. I don't care. But understand that that spiritual energy, that light, that oak tree loves you more than you could ever know. Is this message meant to stop you? This message is meant to tell you you are loved. This message is meant to tell you that the person you're listening to right now also attempted suicide and failed. I have a little bit of experience in this field. Would I judge myself harshly? Would I carry regret and shame and guilt for what I did in 1990, what I attempted to do? No. I don't look at that as a bad part of my life at all. I look at it as a fortunate wake-up call that literally changed so much about me. That gives me more empathy and sympathy to people who are suffering than anything else I could ever imagine. Because I was there. And I know what it feels like to be hopeless. I know what it feels like to be in so much pain that you are positive there's no other alternative. If you're listening to this and you're hurting, reach out to me at talkdavid.com. We will talk for free. If you have a friend or a partner or a child that you're concerned with their thoughts of suicide, of taking their own life, go to talkdavid.com, write down my damn phone number, and have them text me immediately. I want to remove, I'm not the only one, but I want to be one of those individuals in society removing the shame and the guilt and the nonsense that we put upon individuals and families where suicide has been attempted successfully or unsuccessfully. We need to mature as a world. We need to open our hearts instead of judging. And once we do, we will see that our life has changed too. Our life is better. When we remove judgment and insert love, there is nothing that could ever happen to us but goodness. And when you realize that the person that you're sitting across from has attempted suicide in the past, and you welcome them as a friend would welcome any friend, you have just succeeded in raising your level of consciousness to that far above most people on this planet. Again, if this message resonates with you, that's awesome. And if you think that I'm an idiot for sharing this message, that is your choice. I'm speaking from experience of not only as a counselor who's worked with families and helped them heal after the loss of a loved one, and almost all of them come to the office with the same thing. How could they have done that to us? How could they have left us with all this pain? How could they be so selfish? How come they didn't get help? How come now we have to be alive and suffer in their absence? And do you know what? I understand that pain too. I understand why they would feel that way. And then I help them heal. And I help them remember. And let me tell you one story of a family that refused to get help because they were so afraid that when their family member committed suicide, that no one would have compassion for them. No one would have sympathy. And so they stayed underground. They didn't talk about it for 10 years. This family member was forgotten, pushed into a corner, never spoken about, not a thing ever. And at the end of our work, it happened to be around Thanksgiving. And it was the first time in 10 years that they made a plate and they filled it with food. It's so beautiful. And they put this individual's photos around the plate. And for the first time in 10 years, they celebrated the life of a sibling, of a son. If I can help you, please go to talkdavid.com right now. Text the number, send an email, do whatever you need to do, and I will be here for you. Talkdavid.com. You're listening to the most positive podcast in this galaxy and every other galaxy in this world. The only reason that I am still here is to do this work. And I am blessed to be here, but I'm more blessed to do this work. Please share these messages. It's so crucial, and we can all change. David Essel Alive, helping Americans and the world to heal on Buzzsprout.com. Until next time, I'm wishing you the best day ever.